Hello, my name is Amina and I'm your decision-making specialist. My whole world, my whole life has been about decision-making and how to do it and different ways to go through which door to figure out what you wanted. And a lot of people still use a column of pro and column of con, the ones that the yeses, the nos, and the becauses. And I was listening to an interview about Ladybird Johnson, the wife of Lyndon Bird Johnson, and I was hearing a way that she used the pro and con columns in a way that I hadn't thought of. Maybe you have. Just in case you haven't, here's the way she did it. He was trying to decide President Kennedy had been assassinated and Johnson was automatically, he was the vice president, so he was automatically put into the position of being president. At that time, it was before they had the lineage of who would be the next vice president if the vice president moved up. So he had no vice president. So it seems as if that Lady Bird didn't assume the title, and she was certainly the woman beside the man. And so when he and she are trying to figure out, ought he run for office? Would that be a viable next step? Some people are disturbed about the Vietnam War. A lot of people, he inherited that. So he's trying to figure out and weigh and measure. And so she, I think, was so clever, and see what you think, and she wrote the con part first. Now here's what she did that I hadn't thought of, and I am going to borrow. She wrote out a template of a letter and a message that he would give to the American people if and when he chose not to run. So she had strategically set up that con to where he was into his emotions about how it would feel to tell them, my fellow Americans, I have decided not to run for office because, well, he wound up running for office because she also said, how would it feel and what would you tell our neighbors and what would you tell the people that are willing to vote for you? So she had this wide panoramic view of what it would be like if he didn't. So rather than just a list of the pros and cons, she put this into a context as if it had really happened and what he would be telling the people a few years from the now where they are. And my offering to you is that when you start trying to figure out whether you will do something or whether you won't, that you write yourself or anybody that you want in your imagination and actually write it down on paper, video, whatever way you want to do, that says, I, and put your name, have chosen not to do this because, and then write what you would tell people when they said, what's the reason? How come? What happened? And you're not putting yourself down. You're not negotiating with them and trying to persuade them. You're simply moving into the future to get a feel, a mental focus of what it would be like without what you're deciding to leave out of your life. And maybe that feels just great and you're relieved and you're clapping and you think, yes, that's the right way. However, maybe it's not. Maybe you would feel the emotional loss that Johnson did. And maybe that would help you give yourself the courage, the permission, the way to get more of what you want, because you want to write a letter of the because you're going to do it. All right, write yourself that letter. What would you do? How would it feel? When? And imagine that you're on stage. Imagine you're on television. Imagine you're someplace so that there are a lot of people that you're telling this to in the future. Give it a whirl. Try it out. Meanwhile, keep safe. Write your story, because that letter is part of the story that you're writing for yourself and part of the legacy that you will be living. All right, come back. I will be here. I will be watching for you. And until then, bye for now.